I do feel that education is important. My name is Lynn Allen, and I'm the social worker and the Family Services Coordinator here at Hospice and Palliative Care of the Piedmont. Years ago, people didn't discuss it and didn't talk about it like they do now. When your family member died, you had your wake or visitation, you had your funeral, and then you went back to work and life went on. They found that over the years and over time that this was not working well and that people needed to talk about their grief. It didn't end in 3 days. People were dealing with grief for long periods of time, some more than others. But grief has come out of the closet, so to speak. And I'm so glad that it has, because people are really recognizing that they need additional help and that there's ways of getting the help that they need to deal with the loss that they're experienced. I find that oftentimes folks are going through this for the first time. And we fear the unknown, and it's very overwhelming. And oftentimes it helps them when you've got someone that can guide them through it, let them know what to expect, things that they're going to be facing. Oftentimes people think, am I going crazy? Am I just losing my mind? And when they talk to us and we share some of the things that are normal, it puts it in perspective and it makes them feel so much better. I do find that it helps people when they have someone that they can reach out to, and someone, a professional who works in that field and who is very familiar with what they are going through. There are different stages of grief. When patients come on to hospice, it's not unusual that that patient's been sick for a very long time. And patients also grieve themselves. So it's not just our family members that grieve. We call it anticipatory grief when we have a family member that knows that their loved one's dying and that it's coming soon. They already begin their grief journey. So it's different than someone who dies suddenly, who wasn't preparing in any way, shape, or form, and then they are hit with the initial shock and disbelief. Whereas someone else who has had 6 months to prepare, they're at a different place of acceptance in their grief journey. Oftentimes, we see family members who are praying for healing, praying for a miracle, having difficulty of letting go. But there's a transition that happens as they begin to get closer or nearing that end. Oftentimes you'll hear someone may say, well, he's not ready yet, or God's not ready for them yet. And families will say, well, why not? And I oftentimes say, well, maybe he's got to get the family ready. And then you actually see families transition to, we're there now. We don't want to see our loved ones suffer any longer. There's no quality of life at this point. We know that there's something better for them on the other side. Then they reach an acceptance at that point, and they'll give permission for their loved one to go. And when they have that opportunity and that process to work through that, it's very healthy, and it helps them in their grief journey, and when they reflect back on the events and the things that transpired prior to the death. And then they find comfort